highlight match of the day here today. An excellent TVT. And in the top left-hand side, a contender for the GOAT. One of the best, if not the best player in the world right at this minute. It is, for On-Site Gaming, Maru.
I'm throwing out some controversial statements there. And on the bottom right corner of the map, it is playing for Mouse Sports, the massive, the humongous Gabe.
I feel like I'm always very careful with my statements as to not make like heavy, you know, like I don't think they're like very arrogant or like stern statements. I say, if not the best, right? He could be the best. You know, like that's what that means, what the if clause means, right? Like one off, if not. It's like, you know, he's up there in contention in the conversation for one of the very best, and he might possibly take this tournament. He might possibly prove to be the best at this very point in time. But first he has to get through this man.
Yeah, that's understandable. Don't forget to fix up the scores for the series.
Done.
And we can begin analyzing this because actually they're both playing SCV Scout at the same time. So both opting to play very safe. 2 gas SCV Scout is of course the safest build you can play against Proxy Reaper and in general really.
Is there anything else that you're looking for with this SCV, or is it just the information that there is no proxy going on?
You also want to see if they're expanding or not. So he does see that, for example, these are mirror builds, so I wouldn't be surprised if both of them end up going for reactor on their barracks afterwards. Because like I explained yesterday, there's really not much to be afraid of. You don't really need that second Reaper. But it looks like actually Maru will be opting to go for the second Reaper. Because he's actually going to pressure with the SCV and the Reaper.
The classic.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah, quite interesting indeed. I mean, he's hoping that Big Gabriel drops that expansion here with this SCV, and that is what he is set to do. So Maru could get an excellent delay as soon as the SCV drops the expansion. Unexpected is the Reaper. Big Gabe is going to tag onto the Reaper, but that means the SCV soaking up damage will either do that or provide the extra tick for Maru to make sure that he wins this small altercation. And then the next Reaper coming up for Maru might delay things further. So this is very troublesome for Big Gabriel, who pulls another SCV. I'm not sure if that is the way to do it. Maybe 2 would have been the safer option, but he probably thinks that he's safe after he kills that one SCV. Second Reaper about to arrive, but luckily for Big Gabriel, the Hellion is here and will fend off this Reaper. Good awareness to turn the other one back around, but no space to run, or is there, as he jumps down the cliff, but only offers a escape route for Maru on the chase.
Indeed. So this does end up being somewhat of an even trade, except that Maru ended up delaying Gabe's CC for a little bit. So his will be about 20 seconds faster. Overall, an early game win for Maru. We'll see if Gabe is actually able to deal any damage with this pressure. He's even making more Reapers and an extra Hellion behind this. So honestly, I'm a bit hopeful, but I'm not too convinced just yet.
Oh, Mind Concealed under the Hellion. Big Gabriel with a quick, swift switcheroo there to protect one of his, or the rest of his units. And actually good trades here. Might be able to capitalize on killing the Mine if he can. The Reaper will offer a grenade on the retreat to help its Mine get away. But now it's trapped. There are no units indeed. And remember, there are reinforcements for Big Gabriel on the way as well. There is, I believe, a Cyclone about to pop out, but it's not actually near completion. The SCVs are going to hide inside the command center for the time being, but the mine does go down, and a very successful poke for a Big Gabriel that has more on the way.
And 3 Reapers, 3 Hellions, 2 Reapers Marines can actually win against these Marines. The Cyclone is going to pop out, but he's just going to say, I don't care, I'm going to go kill your SCVs. Yeah. And what that does is force a cancel on the orbital, which actually costs 40 minerals.
And the time, right? And the time that it's not producing SCVs, the time that it's not building up to go to those mules. So definitely a worthwhile tactic there for Big Gabriel, and a very beautiful early game for him. And this is not the worry zone. The worry zone is that he might look to stabilize and to kind of drag this game on with his advantages onto a territory where this damage doesn't end up mattering much, maybe aside from the fact that he won't so easily die to Maru's timing attack or something.
Yeah. And we were talking about Gabe preparing something for the series, and it looks like he already is showing that with 2 factory plays before 3rd CC. Just
Beautiful.
really fast for gases. Like, this is the kind of play you do if you're going into mech afterwards. So mech and TVT is not something you see Gabe do very often. So very, very impressive so far that he's come this prepared for this match.
All right, let's see if he's able to capitalize. I mean, he is doing the things that we would have liked to see him do, right? Like, he doesn't have that 3rd CC, but he has the supply advantage for the time being. He is keeping up an economy for the time being. So before Maru can situate his expansion and start actually producing units from the unit producing structures that he's made on the back of that 3rd CC, Big Gabriel should amount or should have a lead, right, amounting into the mid game. So if he can capitalize on that, on his bigger army, which he will have, if he can get a positional advantage and siege Maru, prevent his 3rd while he takes his own, or even just outright kill him,
I think he's all
this
in.
will be perfect. Yeah, I think so too.
He hasn't made any SCVs for the past few minutes.
I love it.
Their second base is still only 4 SCVs mining at the minerals. He's pushing as many tanks and Vikings as he can. So he definitely recognizes that Maru is a superior player, and this is his moment to kill him with his all-in. I mean, Maru will see this push. I think he definitely wants to bring back that 3rd CC. It will be very ambitious if he tries to defend it, frankly, but
Yeah,
actually gets the Cyclone. That's a good start.
it's a good start for Maru for sure, but the Cyclone being that far up front also buys Big Gabriel a lot of space here to move out onto the map. Does give some information as far as where the army of Maru might be, but Maru already repositioning and sending the Cyclone out on expedition mission, so the Reapers are trying to shield the army from being seen, and now the scans are going to reveal both players' positions here. Raven energy on both sides. More plentiful for Maru, but he has more stuff to disable. And Big Gabriel taking a pretty good position here. Actually disables the tanks and goes with the Vikings right away. He says, screw this air advantage. I just need everything to come in handy right now. Though Maru does have disable on the 3 foremost tanks, which is going to make it difficult for Big Gabriel. They are about to expire, but the perfect split on the Marines is going to mean that Maru is going to be taxed heavily regardless. And now Big Gabriel pushing on forward with the extra tank. Maru doing the perfect micro to get rid of the tanks in the backlines, and Big Gabriel running out of steam quickly here, sadly.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate by him. He had 2 tanks that weren't even fighting it all the way in the back and landing the Vikings along with triple matrix by Maru. That was just an unfortunate fight altogether for Big Gabe.
Oh, what happened? What went wrong there? Would you have liked for the 2 tanks in the back actually to just all go in the front, maybe in range of attack, so that everything couldn't get disabled? Or what else could Big Gabriel have done to make that push a little bit more worthwhile? Like, do you think that it was a hasty decision to land the Vikings, for example, Daiejo? Could he have gotten rid of the Ravens and the medevac first? Or, you know, I mean, he saw the opportunity. He smelled the blood. Difficult to fault him. Looked decent for a bit.
Yeah. I mean, even if you look at the army value, like Gabe was almost double in army value. So he definitely... you can't fault him for trying to take a straight-up fight as decisive as he did, but it's just that tanks, they don't fight really well if they're unsieged. And he sieged 2 of them all the way in the back, which means basically a third of his tanks were just not fighting at all.
And the other ones were disabled, so none of his tanks were really fighting.
Yeah, maybe I would have liked for him to see, I would like to done a little bit more of a leapfrog, maybe like rally 2 more Liberators behind it and abuse his air advantage. Like 2 Liberators there would have been absolutely insane. Of course, with his low SCV count, it would also be very expensive. But yeah, it's hard to say, right? The more time that goes by, the stronger Maru gets. Like, he already had Stim. He might have had combat shields by the time Liberators came, so
Very
I don't know.
to say.
Maybe just not a good build by Gabe. It's hard to say.
I don't know. I thought it was good. I thought it looked good.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, we can talk about it a little bit more. First, I guess let's do the intros. As in the top right-hand side of the map, playing for Mouse Sports for something like 14 years, if not more, it is Big Gabriel. 20
And on
years.
the bottom left corner, up 1-0, playing for Onside Gaming, it is the prodigy Maru.
So for me, that engagement, right? Not a Terran player here whatsoever, but what I was looking at is leap, and also in retrospect, right? Like those 3 tanks getting disabled, like you said, maybe if you're gonna go for the push, you gotta push the other tanks forward to where some tanks are not gonna be able to be disabled. But the option that I was really looking at was controlling that space between the natural and the third, and eventually just sieging the natural with tanks. And I thought that slow approach is kind of the thing that works with Vikings, because you can zone off the Ravens a little bit easier, right? Whereas here, he lands his Vikings, and it allows for the Ravens to kind of kamikaze in, but they don't even die because the Vikings are landed, and disable all of the tanks. So I can see what he did. He had a lot of stuff, and it really felt like it could have gone either way. But I think a slightly slower approach would have been good. Also, the fact that he committed to so many Vikings against a Maru that completely forfeited air was not favorable for Big Gabriel, right? Because if Maru has like 2 Vikings and you have your 4 or 6 or whatever that was, you're pretty happy. You get rid of those, then you land, you got your value. But most of the army supply was for Maru on Marines. And once you land your Vikings, I mean, they're just not as... They're not worth the weight, the pay that you... The money that you paid for them, basically, right? Like, they're just not the unit that you would make as just a ground unit.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm going to add a quick note to update the scores on your end.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, like you said, maybe a bit slower approach. Maybe even adding a couple of liberators. But yeah, basically complementing what I said. I think that was a spot-on analysis of it. But focusing on this game, actually, Maru did end up going 2 Rax Reaper. Gabe, of course, did not scout it.
Big.
But there was a suspiciously fast wall in Maru's ramp. And even catching that Reaper is pretty humongous. He does pay 2 SCVs for it, though.
He does, and the Reaper might get away. Big Gabriel looking to cut him off with the second Reaper, so wonderful control here from him. Has a grenade available, but so does Maru. He manages to get past the grenade, though Big Gabe does. Can he get one more shot off here? It's all it requires, an intern in the corner. He will be able to. Maru with 2 more Reapers, however, might catch Big Gabriel. Big Gabriel has a Hellion, has to reroute it. Not focus fire indeed, but the Hellion should be able to clean up. The grenade will dissuade Big Gabriel on the chase, but luckily for him, Maru takes a bad route back home, pathing not in his favor, and Big Gabe with a better exchange yet again.
Great start here for Gabe, actually taking a much better trade. 1 more Reaper.
Looking for more. This could be great. This could be game ending, perhaps. I mean, the CC will be under peril here. What does Maru have here to reinforce with? Because those 2 Reapers have no business fighting right now. It's going to be a couple of SCVs down the line. 1 to tank, 1 to secure the CC. Still Big Gabriel with more Hellions here. So underestimating the forces of Big Gabriel is Maru, and a great delay already. This feels humongous, Diejo.
Very humongous, as actually Maru lifts up his barracks and starts a reactor. He's
what
not
an animal.
respecting this cat.
Yeah, no respect whatsoever. And Big Gabriel has 1 unit streaming at a time, though he has stopped. This Reaper is killing me, Diejo! But the Reaper arrives just in time to output enough damage. And a great delay nonetheless. Looking for another SCV on the retreat will cost that Reaper its life. But yeah, it would have probably been worth it if Maru didn't already have an extra SCV down there to you know, proceed with the CC right away.
I mean, you know things are bad when your second CC is actually not even finished before the guy starts his third. This is so brutal, and such a good lead for Gabe once again in the early game. Now, he is going to take a different approach this time. He once again takes a lead, but he decides to take a third CC to just amplify his economic advantage.
Yeah.
So great start. He just needs to be able to defend this drop, which shouldn't be too hard. It's literally 2 Hellions and 1 Reaper. This is the least intimidating drop I've seen in a while.
Yeah, and I mean, is it gonna do anything? The Cyclone is not paying attention fast enough. Big Gabriel not really evacuating his SCVs fast enough. Gonna lose a couple, maybe more. A lot of them bruised now. 4 go down. And least intimidating drop ever manages to get 7 SCVs all day.
That was actually insane. The micro was, you know, top notch from Maru, just lifting up the units and getting the focus fires at the same time. And somehow, yeah, 2 Reapers or 2 Hellions and 1 Reaper ends up killing 7 SCVs. That's
unfortunate for Big Gabriel. A little bit slow to the action there, right? Like, he didn't move his Cyclone fast enough. Not even just to tag the medevac on entry, but after the fact. I mean, the units all dropped, they started doing damage, and it took a couple of seconds too many for Big Gabriel to react. Still, a very strong early game for him, especially with this harassment. Very successful. 3 SCVs will go down for the turret. And option to drop a turret next to the tank. Maru too smart, too fast, will unsiege the tank before that even happens. And it closes the door on that play for Big Gabriel. But he has another Raven in the natural base. A little bit harder to pull anything off here. Does get one SCV for his troubles, and the Raven barely survives. On the back of that stim from Maru. Yet again, Big Gabriel shifts his attention to the main and gets one more SCV for his troubles. A successful attack here from Gabe. But he is going to be kind of like open without Raven energy for a little bit here. So can Maru capitalize somehow, Daejo?
I should hope so. I mean, still, I don't think it's enough damage that you can like completely secure your mid game off of it.
Greatest
But yeah, the Raven does escape. I think that's actually pretty important. He did spend all of the energy on his harassing Ravens, and I don't think he'll be able to bring them back anytime soon. So really, he only has one Raven realistically to defend against a guy who has Stim, and while he doesn't. So just gotta be a bit careful. But as long as he's able to play the defensive game, land his turret, get his sensor tower down, I foresee a very comfortable game for him here in the future.
He looks very good indeed. This Raven is playing with fire. I mean, one shot from anything will kill it. The Cyclone will give Gabriel the heads up that he was looking for with the Cyclone. It spots the army moving out. It taxes one Marine out of Maru, and it gives him the option to go back in with the Raven, knowing that the army has evacuated. Now it's all about this push for Maru, one of the best positional players in the world. He does have Stim and Combat Shields to work with. Actually, Combat Shields not yet done, but he might jump the gun regardless, looking for a Doom Drop of sorts.
Yeah, if he decides to drop in this main, that's going to be the ultimate Gala job.
Oh,
There's
man, do not drop here,
no
Maru.
way.
Don't do it. Oh, but he goes all the way to the back. Is that good enough? Still, one tank is covering the whole of that base. And, I mean, a lot of lost time there for Maru. So, you know, you look at these attacks and you might think it's a wash, but it's a great moment for Big Gabriel, right? Who is expecting an attack that doesn't get stronger, where he is pumping out units. So his defense is only getting stronger by the second.
Indeed, and every second that goes by, Big Gabe gets even bigger. His upgrades are so much further ahead than Maru. His armory is a bit late, which will give him a chance to recover his disadvantage in upgrades. But still, look at Gabe, already pulling moves. He's going to kill all the SCVs here.
Maybe the CC even. Nope, Maru is going to unload his entire army here to protect. That offers safe passage into the main from Big Gabe. A tank will be unloaded. Big Gabe will unload as fast as possible. There's no need to readjust. And Maru will just tap out.
Damn.
GG. I mean, I could see why he tapped out. I just didn't expect it because it's a win for Big Gabe, baby.
That was very impressive. I mean, you know what?
What?
This is how I feel like maybe the first game could have gone if he opted to go instead for this kind of build, you know, just 3CC, be the defensive player, amplify your economic advantage, do like your Raven harass on the fringe.
Yeah, I agree with you, Daejo. It's how it could have gone, but at the same time, like from what I was saying, I'd be backtracking if I said, like, I was begging for Big Gabe to switch it up and to try to close out a game where he has an advantage. And I feel like he had something like that in mind, right? Where it's like, if I can't kill Maru after this sort of lead with a timing attack, when am I going to be able to kill him with a timing attack? When am I going to be able to, like, switch it up, right? So I really just can't fault him for that game. I think he got unlucky, man. Like, I think he just got unlucky with the like, because he had double. Man. He just had double the army supply. It was just in Vikings. They didn't really help. Like, one tank being closer to range, you know, like, I feel like if you play that engagement multiple times, I feel like Big Gabe wins more often than not, even against Maru. Don't you think so? Like, small readjustments. Maybe we can play that defense later and see what happens.
Maybe we can resume from replay and see how it goes.
Yeah, I'll play Big Gabe's side. You play Maru's side. I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like it's winnable for Big Gabe, even with the gap between your skill and mine, you know?
You think so?
I think so, yeah. It was a lot of army, Daejo. It looked good.
Do you know the hotkey to siege your tanks, or?
I don't have it in my mind, no. I mean, I know what to press on the keyboard. I just don't know the hot. You know what I'm talking about.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Like, if you give me a tank, I can siege it instantly, okay?
Sure. I believe
What? I'm a Grandmaster Terran, Diego. You know that? Like,
I'm sure you are, man. Yeah.
I am.
I mean, here in Twitch chat, we're all Grandmaster, of course.
I know how to
Grandmaster
siege
knowledge.
tanks. Yeah, I know how to siege tanks. I am an NA Grandmaster Terran, okay? Don't shame me.
All right. As two Grandmasters, we go into game number 3 here on Neo Humanity to decide who is gonna win between Big Gabe and Maru.
Yeah, talk
That's
about
actually quite
Grandmasters. I
exciting.
mean, these guys are actually two of the very best Terrans in the world. Absolute beasts. Absolute kings of the craft here. And they are tight. 1-1. Who would have seen it coming? This could have been a 2-0 for Big Gabe. Let's not forget. Playing out of his mind. But the man who always plays out of his mind, not too phased perhaps by that last game. In the top left-hand side for onside gaming, it is Maru.
And on the bottom right corner, who just won a game against one of the best players in the world, if not the best. as Kat
Whoa,
said.
easy there, Tiger.
It is Mouse Sports HeroMarine.
Easy there, Tiger.
Scores?
Scores, thank you.
I think if we're gonna see one gas play out of these players, it's gonna be on this map. Because I feel like it's one of the easier maps to defend. You can actually wall off the Reaper Cliff with one building.
Mm-hmm.
I found this out when I played a TVP against Skillis, and he just made a cybercore there, and I couldn't jump anymore. I
Oh,
was
yeah?
extra sad.
That sounds extra sad indeed. I mean, what other features of this map do you like for TVT or dislike, or do you think could be abused here?
Watchtowers are the most prominent one. I think watchtowers are so freaking important in TVT, so we'll probably see them battle a lot for it.
Okay.
And also, the fact that you can... I've never seen these destructible rocks get broken in TVT, but maybe with these two very defensive players, maybe it could happen. I'm not sure.
You can theoretically trap an army there, right? Between the two?
Theoretically, yeah. Hasn't happened so far to me.
I don't think we'll see it happen, right? Like I think you might be able to see it happen against a player that's not like very aware of the game state, maybe, and you put the both of the rocks like just down to red HP, right? And just leave a unit on either side, one shot away. But
Yeah.
difficult to imagine.
And we can already see who's respecting who in this game, as Maru, not only as he scouts, uses his Reaper to check for proxies. He is worried about losing the series.
Is
But
that
Gabe
respect or
already
disrespect,
confirmed.
Joe?
I would say respect, because he's really afraid of losing the third game against Gabe. Otherwise, he would have proxied it himself, honestly. That's the ultimate disrespect.
You think that's the
when you're-
disrespect? I feel like that's respect. If the quote unquote better player is willing to gamble, I feel like that is a nod of respect. Whereas I feel like scouting and being like, I just gotta play safe to beat you is disrespect.
That depends how much he values his time, you know? Maybe he's just trying to cut corners and get to the next series ASAP.
Maybe so. But that is interesting. We have different takes on this respect and respect here in the early game. But yeah, I mean, both players are just gonna be chilling. HeroMarine now with the Widowmine, so he is saying, "Come at me, I'm safe."
And
I
actually,
think
this is gonna
that's
pay off for Maru.
confidence. I think that's confidence from Gabriel.
Yeah. But it will pay off for Maru in the long run, because he actually got to skip the Widowmine and go straight into the tank job. So
Offering
if
some
this
respect.
goes
cutting corners.
undetected, yeah, not
Love
bad.
Love it.
You love it,
So,
you wear it.
You love it, you wear it. Sometimes you just have to wear it, Diejo. And yeah, I mean, is it gonna be a single tank drop, like just 4 Marines in a
Yeah.
tank?
I think he's going to use the abusive spot in this map where you can siege below the natural.
Nifty.
This is a very common tank drop position in TVT.
I can see it.
So.
All right, let's see what happens here. The Reapers can probably contribute from that area as well. The Hellion not so much, but maybe it can spot at the front. Not sure that tanking that Widowmine will do much for Maru if he chooses to do that. Big Gabriel tucked in the back, but does not have a tank available yet. Good mine shot there, and Maru actually just goes all the way to the front, and I'm not sure that that's the play for the Korean. Here is the Cyclone, but you can easily micro against that. Maru's gonna not choose not to, maybe not paying attention, and he has been decimated here at the front.
Complete destruction as he destroys the tank and forces Maru to retreat. Even resources lost shows that Gabe took the better end of that deal. And what this means is he's gonna have one more tank than Maru does.
Yeah.
It's quite nice.
Able to siege it now as well, and a little bit surprising from Maru, right? Like not picking up the unit, the Reaper in this case, that was being targeted by the Cyclone, and not choosing to abuse that position that you were talking about as well, which would have been very difficult to dislodge, but maybe he expected a tank or something on the side of Gabriel.
Yeah, I guess he was just expecting him to be a bit more spread thin. Of course, he had his units already in position at the front. Maybe he would have been more vulnerable against a tank drop at the spot that I mentioned before. But honestly, very well done by Big Gabe here. Just really being in position against that.
Yeah. Also when Maru pounces onto the units, he doesn't see the whole of it. What happened? What's going on?
This is the same build he did in the first game that failed. He's doing it again now. Except now he's adding a couple of Marines one by one from the barracks. So
all right, I like it. Doubling down here as Maru does take his third. It is a very short map as well. The Vikings are here. They're gonna chase after that medevac. So Big Gabriel wants seconds here. Wants a second shot. We were talking about resuming from replay. We may not have to because Big Gabriel is gonna show you the full strength, and the full extent of his power here.
Oh, this tank is not gonna be able to escape. He needs to pick it up, but it's so low.
Oh!
Okay.
The Vikings barely not able to narrow
That was
down
extremely
the
clutch.
distance.
I don't know if he can hold this if he loses its tank, and even still, it looks quite difficult to be honest. This time, however, there's 2 Ravens for Gabe instead of 1, so he is gonna have twice the amount of spells to use in a fight.
And Maru actually doesn't have as much energy as he did last time around, and this is the slower approach that we were talking about. The tank is unsieged. That's easy pickings. The medevac is super low, but it can't be capitalized on as the Vikings are lagging just a little bit behind. So Maru escaping with by the skin of his teeth. Also SCVs here to help buffer and to help tank potentially. And here comes the big engage from Big Gabe. The tanks are sieged in the back. Now the Vikings are landing and he's pushing them forward. He needs to do something before these tanks come back online. And he will, for the most part, clear them. There's one remaining. A lot of tanks still remaining on the side of Big Gabe as he encroaches on forward. And all he has to do now is move these tanks onto fire range of this E-base, onto fire range of the potential SCVs. One more tank will stand between Big Gabe and victory, and it seems like victory is the name of the game. Daiejo, has Big Gabe done it?
I think he's done it. I mean, Maru just doesn't have the production to deal with this. He has 2 barracks that are actually the natural. I mean, they're not going to be able to make Marines ever. There's no combat shields. There's not even stim pack. What can Maru even make to come back from this? He's going to lose yet another tank. I think Big Gabe's done it.
He's done it. He's done it. I wish we had cameras right now. These upgrades are going to fall. The natural is going to be evacuated. If you're Big Gabe, are you pushing your advantage a little bit too far in trying to end the game right now? Like, I feel like at this point you should just chill, right? Like, surely you've done enough. Take your third. Relax. But Big Gabe, I mean, he wants to win. He can get it too.
Wait, but I don't think he can just macro off of this because keep in mind he cut SCVs. He never remade a third CC. He never made a third CC either. So this is completely all in for Gabe. Maybe this is the way to. Oh, but he doesn't have anything to kill the Liberator. Yeah,
the 2 Vikings are gonna fall to the 2 Vikings of Maru. Please, I know what you're saying, Daiejo, but please just drop a third. Start making SCVs. Go to the third of Maru siege. That there are 2 potential bases.
That might be the only choice left. Yeah. You're right. He has to go back.
Yeah, I mean, just don't breach up the ramp. There is more damage to be done out on the map right now, right? And my God, if anyone can stabilize here, it's Maru. All the hype in the world for Big Gabe. Do not choke this one, my friend. The Liberator is looking to be sniped by a single Viking, and Big Gabe will click on it. Will trade its life in the process. Again? I mean, why just go to the sides?
Okay, yeah, I don't think he knows that he has.
Oh, who done medevac? One shot from the Viking would have done it. Oh.
This is so incredibly close. I mean, he does know about this base. He is going to try to deny the mining there maybe now. But he doesn't know about this base, which is
send the Hellion there. Make a Hellion.
For Maru.
Oh, Diego, I'm dying.
Yeah. But actually, Maru doesn't have any barracks, so all this mineral income is not going to do anything for him anytime soon.
Yeah, Maru with
a scan. Forced to lift here.
Yeah, exactly. Maru with a scan identifies that those tanks are susceptible to a medevac drop. A medevac that's still 1 HP or 1 hit away from a Viking from dying. As now Maru he's been spotted. He's been spotted. Let's go get him. Maru will just relocate everything. He's just running away further and further away. Both of his bases. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what kind of game this is, where you just like leap away one space every time you see your opponent, but that's exactly what he's doing away. He's running away from the Godzilla that is Big Gabe.
He finally regained air control. I mean, he has 7 Vikings against 2 right now because Maru just couldn't afford to make Vikings. He had to use all of his gas to make tanks. So
Maru continues to run away.
If Gabe wants, he can actually go into the main now. He can make 1 Liberator, and with the Vikings, he will be able to break the main.
Yeah,
and he doesn't even have to anymore. I mean, even still, Maru is like counterattacking with turrets. But what is this gonna do? Is this
not
gonna
enough.
save him?
Surely not. And Big Gabe's still looking for the killing blow. I mean, he knows that there are 2 bases and a bunch of SCVs out on the map. I really think that this is the only way to lose the game, is to not just send a Viking or a Hellion or something to the fringe bases, but rather try to breach the front. If you're containing with that, that's fine, but please start sending units out to the fringe bases. And that's what he's doing now. 1 tank at a time. I'm not sure that that's the best.
Liberator.
Okay, Big Gabe. He's doing it now. I mean, Maru, if this was the earlier game, he would have already left it, I think, but this one is for all the pride and all the marbles.
The tank actually does get destroyed by SCVs there, but I don't think Maru has any, or Gabe has anything that can be... Nothing can stop him right now. He's unstoppable.
He is absolutely unstoppable. Maru is trying to do whatever he can, evacuating some of the Marines to protect one of the fringe bases here. The tank will suicide. That's fine. Vikings will land to clear one of the tanks. And Daiejo, call it time of death.
I think Maru maybe will try one more job. I think that will be his Hail Mary.
The supplies goes somehow.
But I don't think these Marines are enough to kill him. I mean, he has 2 tanks. He has a Viking. He can pull SCVs. Maybe combined with the Ravens, he can actually kill all of these units. I'm not sure. But this is a lot of SCVs.
That is a lot of SCVs that are actually going to be falling. The tank has to be careful, but it actually falls before it does anything. Diego, hold me.
Oh, what?
The supplies are even. The supplies are even.
To evacuate 1 more
medevac. My God. Diego.
Already secured his.
Okay, there's a couple of tanks. We're good. We're good. Big Gabe fans out there. Way. I mean, I'm a sucker for the underdog story. 3 and 15 in maps before this series. I don't think he's ever taken a series from Maru Big Gabe. To do it in the biggest stage for IEM Katowice, the World Championships, this would be amazing for him.
This is the first time ever, right?
It might be. I mean, it's 15 to 3 maps. I can't imagine one of those is a series straight up.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
I don't think so either.
And Maru is just on full copium right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's full copium indeed. He tries to sync up with the last possible drop. Big Gabe is going to frantically use all of his SCVs, and Maru is out of units. He's out of luck, and he has to GG out. Big Gabe finally closes